In this session, what we'll do is look at the WAN side of your application delivery and provide you with an overview of the modern perspective on WAN delivery and why this perspective is necessary. We'll look at different factors that influence the way WANs are deployed, and then we'll show you how Citrix SD-WAN is able to deliver on those requirements to provide an application delivery fabric that is secure without compromising on user performance. So we'll jump straight in on that. So in a study from PwC, it was found that 76% of leaders are looking to integrate their networking and networking security. But SANS.org found that 44% of organizations find this lack of visibility to be a challenge, making the remote endpoint devices a likely attack vector, even when using VPN to access the network. And this remains a challenge. IDC found that 55% of enterprises report that their networks are not cloud ready and have a strategy to replace it with a model that is more cloud centric. All this adds to complexity, and our existing infrastructures are already complex. And this introduces a new silo approach into the organization, which Dynatrace reported on in 2020, that 74% of CIOs sees this as a concern in managing the performance in IT. So think also again about that application visibility we spoke about earlier. And so when we summarize the expectations that organizations have of a WAN today, these are the key features of the modern WAN that we see beginning to emerge. Application experience, security, cloud choice, and unified management. So in the remainder of this session, what we'll cover is each one of these. And we'll begin by looking at cloud choice to see how SD-WAN brings flexibility to the network infrastructure and a choice of cloud providers. But before we do that, I think it'll be good to just take a brief look at what Citrix SD-WAN is, how it works. So on the left-hand side, you'll see there's a branch where your users are connecting from. And on the right-hand side, we have this data center where all the resources are located. And in between these two sites, we have our WAN connection, which typically makes use of an MPLS circuit. And we have to be satisfied that traffic flowing over this WAN can only use that MPLS connection. But if the connection fails or it becomes so degraded that it's unusable, then our branch connections go down and our users are no longer able to carry on with their work. And so what many organizations end up doing is they add this additional connection to the site, which could be like a DSL connection. And so now when an outage occurs, this backup link will be connected so that the traffic will instead flow over the DSL connection. But unfortunately, it's still a new WAN connection. And so the result of this is downtime for the user. And this means they have to reconnect to their sessions, often over this lower throughput connection. And then again, if the MPLS recovers, the users are disconnected again so that they can re-establish this new session on a new MPLS, hoping that it stays up. So with SD-WAN to a different level, instead of having these multiple different WAN links, we create a single virtual WAN where both of these connections are used at the same time with traffic flowing over both connections simultaneously. And so with Citrix, it allows you to use other types of connections also, such as consumer-grade internet connections and LTE, and even using different bandwidth sizes. And then what we do on a per packet basis is we use the metrics collected from real-time traffic so that we learn about the latency, about loss, about jitter, congestion of each one of these links. And we can make decisions on the best path to take per packet that we are sending. So think about Waze and Google Drive and and how it uses the different cars to determine the best route to take. This is what the SD-WAN solution does. And so now if a link fails, SD-WAN can detect that outage within 2 to 3 packets and react with a lossless failover. And even under these conditions, and with links that are typically unmanaged, we are able to apply bandwidth control, quality of service to those links, and we can make sure that time-sensitive traffic gets prioritized. But many of you may know that quality of service configurations can be fairly static. I realize this is quite technical, with both proactive and reactive actions taken. And if we take the road analogy, we sometimes set off just driving in a direction, and we don't know if there's going to be parking when we get there. And this is what QoS also lacks in our environment. So what Citrix SD-WAN does is we have an awareness of both ends of the link. So we call it dual-ended QoS. And what it means is that by the time you send off, you're off to your next destination. In the car analogy, whether there's going to be parking or whether you should turn around, and so that you are not turned around and have to drive around and causing more congestion on the road. Instead, what we have is we throttle the sender down so that by the time the packet gets to the other end, there will be space for it to park. And so streaming traffic across WAN links and steering those connections is not the only benefit that SD-WAN brings, because the internet is a big part of the way that businesses operate today. So when accessing those cloud-hosted resources like Windows Virtual Desktop, SD-WAN is able to steer that traffic directly from the branch to the cloud without having to go back into the data center, which really saves your users time and that latency. And again, coming back to the user experience. And in some cases, those user sessions running in a different platform, they need to be able to access resources in different locations. And so SD-WAN is able to direct that connection back into a data center for the same rate. And if the choice of cloud is Azure, then SD-WAN provides this ability to leverage Microsoft's global backbone network. So thanks to our partnership with Microsoft, Citrix is able to use this Azure virtual WAN and leveraging this hub-to-hub connectivity so that SD-WAN customers can leverage that backbone of the Azure network of over 100 gigabits per second backbone, VNet peering for data centers in different regions and so forth. So great functionality there. But virtual WAN may provide you with that lower cost IPsec connectivity. What many customers today choose instead is to actually run an SD-WAN instance in Azure. And so we refer to this as our VPX, similar to the ADC virtual appliance that you saw previously. This VPX is able to be deployed in a single-click on-ramp procedure with an automated path setup. And so benefits of this includes greater resiliency, a seamless failover, better visibility of application traffic, that dual-ended QoS, even when you are going into Azure, which is something many organizations don't have today. And so the VPX is also available in AWS Marketplace for speeds up to 2 gigabits per second. And just some of the features it supports here, as you can see, include the AWS Transit Gateway Connect, support for AWS Outpost, Amazon VPCs, BGP routing, and then features like cloud formation templates, SRIOV, Amazon CloudWatch, and so forth. So quite a lot of functionality. And this is also available in Google Cloud. So for those of you that are considering Google Cloud, high availability connections right into your Google Cloud VPC. So as with SD-WAN in general, it provides customers with better app control into the cloud with that auto QoS and deep packet inspection, to name just a few of those benefits. So that was cloud choice. This brings us to the second section on why SD-WAN is becoming our preferred solution. It provides application experience to improve the performance for your SaaS, your cloud, and your virtual applications. So SaaS applications that are cloud hosted across many geolocations often operate out of multiple points of presence. And so when a user tries to access an app, SD-WAN service will find that closest, fastest, lowest latency route to that closest POP, and then will steer the connection accordingly. And so from there, the connection can enjoy the benefits of that high-speed cloud backplane to connect the user to their desired SaaS application. And the same is true for things like Teams traffic. So we already provide the only solution to optimize Teams in a virtual environment. But with our SD-WAN, we separate the voice traffic from that session and to steer the traffic in the direction that will provide it with the best conditions for a good user experience. A customer of ours experienced this firsthand recently. After migrating to Office 365, users experienced an increased latency in working in different cloud products. And this was largely due to a central internet breakout and DNS resolution that had to go via the data center. And they also had a proxy server in place to ensure that they had to go via the data center. And you know, for any of these connections, they had to traverse this for better security. So some users reported a latency of up to 50 milliseconds. So after installing SD-WAN in all their branches and even the homes of some of their users, great for executives and call center, the experience improved immediately. So using APIs, our SD-WAN is able to identify dynamically the closest front door and then choose the path that's best for the lowest latency, lowest congestion for that connection. And this direct access to the internet is established with a built-in firewall that runs on the SD-WAN. So, and then along with Quad 9 for local DNS resolution, users would still need to access the internet via the proxy, but at least those specific Office 365 connections were now automatically added to the pack file to bypass the proxy. In this case, the company just had a policy of users having to connect via the proxy. And so with this integration, the majority of the users were now within a 30 millisecond window of an Office 365 front door, pardon the pun, giving them 3 to 10 times faster downloads, 75% faster Outlook performance, 33% faster PowerPoint, and 25% faster Excel. And this application-driven behavior is not limited only to Microsoft applications. Out of the box, the application engine on the SD-WAN can identify over 4,500 different applications to distinguish bandwidth-intensive protocols, applications that contain content, applications with specific cybersecurity requirements, and so forth. And this engine also understands applications at a granular level. So while other solutions might identify Office 365 traffic, our engine knows the specific application to steer traffic to the POP that is designed to create, to cater for that application directly. And so where others might build firewall rules that focus on an application like Facebook, our engine can distinguish detailed apps so that you might block Messenger, but allow news feeds, for example. And in the case of our own protocol, the ICA traffic, without Citrix SD-WAN, and this is typically what other vendors out there would experience, the entire HDX stream will need to run on the same link. In other words, the individual tunnels inside that HDX stream becomes invisible to the network and are treated with the same priority. So whether it's real-time or bulk traffic that's running inside that session, and even when using MPLS, the specific DSCP markings will prioritize and treat the HDX in the same way. And a lot of technical content there for some of the engineers on the call today. And so with Citrix SD-WAN, the application engine now is aware of the virtual tunnels inside this HDX stream. And this allows for features like auto QoS to identify channels that are inside of the HDX, to automatically schedule these to the WAN links that will best serve them at that point in time. So even when you have an MPLS link that uses different queues, Citrix is able to identify those queues and schedule the virtual channels of the HDX stream onto that relevant queue with the correct DSCP markings. And so when there's more than one HDX session to handle, which of course is expected, other vendors would pin this traffic to a specific link or schedule the traffic without proper management of what's happening inside that stream. And this will lead to multiple sessions sharing the same link, even if those links are not performing optimally. And in fact, one session may end up consuming more of the bandwidth than others. But with the Citrix SD-WAN solution, we use QoS fairness as well, which means when there's congestion, we ensure that no single session and no single user consumes more than their fair share of the available network bandwidth. And so this feature ensures that all users continue to enjoy an interactive experience when they are accessing those critical applications. So that was cloud choice. We've looked at how server at the server end and how application experience can be improved at the user end. But let's look at a little bit about security as well. So with Citrix SD-WAN, we offer you two choices. We have a cloud-based security or an on-premises-based security managed out of the cloud. So in both these cases, branches are able to leverage the same connection for internet access as they are for WAN access. So starting with the on-premise security solution, on every SD-WAN appliance, we have a stateful firewall that is ICSA Lab certified. It's a built-in firewall that can be used on its own, or it could even be connected to a chosen security provider like Palo Alto or Checkpoint, for example. For more advanced security use cases, you can extend that onboard firewall with with an advanced edition that's more threat engine driven. So it would then include things like web filtering. There's intrusion detection or prevention, malware protection, or SSL inspection. And all of this then gets managed out of this unified interface. And as an alternative to the on-prem option, we also have the Citrix Secure Internet Access. Now, SIA can also run as an agent on your endpoint devices. We won't cover that in this session today, but from an SD-WAN perspective, SIA is this cloud-based traffic engine to which SD-WAN builds a secure tunnel for carrying internet traffic. And so leveraging off this advanced application awareness and path control, the SD-WAN can direct traffic to one of over 100 different POPs worldwide. And these could include links from at other branches as well, the ISP links at the branch. And so in branches where you have an SD-WAN already that has multiple links, the connection uses that SIA cloud, and it will be able to benefit from both links to just increase that resiliency on the internet connection. And now internet traffic is consistently secured for all the users at your branch, inspecting all the traffic and blocking threats based on the information from over 10 different threat engines globally. And then data is also segregated, so based on enterprise and based on the geo, so that one customer's data does not touch that of another. And each customer is allocated their own gateway for tenant isolation also. And this is good for the regulated industries where you need higher security. You may need a separate IP address where your users are coming from. You may want to upgrade your environment separate from other tenants. And this is what SIA is able to allow you to do. And bringing us to the final part of why customers choose our SD-WAN as their preferred application delivery fabric is the unified management. And this is in the form of the SD-WAN orchestrator, and it provides us with this management of a distributed environment across all of our POPs and managing all the POPs and all of our tunnels. The bandwidth and route allocation is easily controlled in line with the business rules that you define. Blind spots are eliminated through integrated reporting, giving you better insight into the wider context. I don't know what our time looks like. I don't know if there's going to be time for a quick demo, but I wanted to just give you a quick demo of the SD-WAN orchestrator and what it's capable of doing, and how we are able to drill into different sites and actually look at the different metrics that we have available to these sites. Being able to define various policies, like these are the security profiles I discussed earlier with the web filtering and intrusion prevention, anti-malware, SSL inspection, and all of those type of things, all managed out of this single interface, giving us a full view of our WAN environment. So networks today really exists for the delivery of applications. And with SD-WAN, you benefit from the decades-long experience that Citrix has in application delivery. And this includes best app performance with deep visibility and integration. We bring together the core networking capabilities such as QoS, but keeping the application in mind. We have a high performance and resilient SaaS app solution, even in the presence of internet variability and unpredictability. Integrated and comprehensive security services. There's an always-on application experience, especially for those demanding applications that need a high resilience and sub-second failover. With our partnership with Microsoft, SD-WAN gives you this extensive, deep, long-term support for Microsoft products. And so with this rapid growth of Teams and Office 365, the SD-WAN is a critical component for many organizations. And then faster and more consistent operational orchestration into the cloud. Our solution also is ranked by Gartner as #1 for application optimization and deployment flexibility. We have over 1,800 customers in more than 70 countries, with our largest deployment running as much as 4,300 sites. We rank in the top 5 worldwide service providers with over 70,000 licenses. And the SD-WAN is equally suitable as a VPN replacement for workers, not just for those large enterprise data centers. And as an example of this is our 110 appliance that's competitively priced to cater for home users, small branch offices, those call center agents, but through a license upgrade can even cater for larger branches up to 200 megabits per second. And it's available in an LTE and Wi-Fi capability to increase your flexibility of where you want to use these appliances from. And so not only is SD-WAN the solution to outdated and expensive MPLS circuits, it modernizes the WAN through virtualization and application awareness to provide the best and always-on experience for your users. So with SD-WAN, you can optimize that last mile by being smart about how traffic flows, securing your sites with a unified threat management capability, and simplifying your branches by consolidating multiple network devices. And with that, I'd like to say thank you. It was a pleasure being with you today. And if you have any further questions, feel free to let us know.